Hello and good morning. Now, a couple of days ago, I uploaded a video where I talked about a report that was submitted by United Nations Special Rapporteur Reem Aslam to the United Nations about parental alienation. And in her report, she was very dismissive of the concept. She is recommending that courts across the world, family courts across the world, eradicate any mention of parental alienation in family court cases, because she says it is simply a smokescreen for abusive fathers to get unsupervised access to their children and further abuse women. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But this woman is a special rapporteur. It is her job to investigate, among other things, alleged human rights abuses in UN member states. And she is, after all, an international human rights lawyer. But what she has done is just the tip of the iceberg. On the one hand, on the top end of the scale, so to speak, you've got Reem Aslam and her report, in which there's only one sentence which mentions the impact of domestic abuse on men. At the other end of the scale, you've got that woman who made a comment on the video I posted yesterday when I was talking about the sandwiches. And she said I should know better than to air my dirty linen in public, sort of thing. I'm not doing myself any favours. And in response to a comment from another viewer, she said she was sure that my children were taken away from me for what she called a good reason. So what she just did was make a statement in which an allegation, essentially, in which I'm denied an opportunity to present evidence to defend myself. And that's just somebody who's commenting on a video, on a TikTok video. In between that, you look at the rhetoric that surrounds domestic abuse legislation and so on just in the UK. It's all end violence against women and girls. There have been government reports put out which talk about the impact of domestic abuse against men and false allegations and so on, but the overriding rhetoric is the focus on ending violence against women and girls. And it's not a very good strategy at all, because it doesn't actually protect them. Again, what I'd like to point out here is that we could assemble 1,000 men in this country and go before. If we could take 1,000 men and go before, obviously one after the other, in front of Judge Judy or an English equivalent, and have a case heard against our local authority, against His Majesty's government, with evidence, we could demonstrate that our basic human rights as fathers is being destroyed, eradicated, and just, for example, the way in which we are being denied as fathers any meaningful opportunity to answer the allegations made against us is in itself a breach of human rights. Article 6, for example, of the Human Rights Act states that everyone is entitled to a fair trial in a timely manner. The end violence against women and girls strategy, for example, the reality is it's focused on women and girls. How do we then expect, for example, the police to handle these matters fairly when their own College of Police, National Association of Police Chiefs, is saying, yes, we admit domestic abuse happens to men, but we should focus on women and girls being abused by men. Now, College of Policing rules in this country state that when a police officer attends a domestic abuse incident, they should be fair and impartial and examine all the evidence before coming to a conclusion, not assume anything, but the reality is that doesn't happen. So what I'm trying to get at here is that we're seeing from the UN itself a special rapporteur recommending policy that eradicates equal rights and the right to a fair trial. And these are absolute rights which cannot, under any circumstances, be trampled on. In the middle of that, we've got the police not treating male domestic abuse victims fairly. We've got social services. When an allegation is made about domestic abuse, they don't investigate that properly, as they are supposed to do. That's in their own rules. And when a false allegation is provably made, the mechanics of reporting that to the Crown Prosecution Service is very complicated. Now, next month, on the 12th of February, Reem Aslam is actually paying a goodwill visit to the UK. So, it's up to you what you want to do with this, but my take on Reem Aslam's report is that this is simply one element of a systematic campaign to eradicate the rights of men and boys. And at the end of the day, it will also affect women and girls. Because when they say they want to protect women and girls, just remember, women and girls have sons, they have brothers, they have nephews. And I can tell you from experience that the damage that had been done to my family, watching my mother crying, watching my mother dying, actually she is on her last legs because of this. So explain to me how that is not a breach of her basic human rights. So please have a think about that. And I'm sorry this video is a bit longer than I intended it to be. Have a think about that. And you all have a good day. Take care.